Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Touch of Class show number 6. Man, I am thoroughly excited on this fine Monday morning as we have a lot of snow on the ground. If you're from the Northeast area, then it has been snowing for you all throughout the night. It's been snowing for me all throughout the night, and it's quite lovely. A lot of people are wishing for spring to start, but me personally, I love winter and I want to hold on to it as much as I possibly can. We've got an absolutely packed show today. We've got the Premier League weekend. We've got a Manchester United versus Everton preview. We've got action from the Qatar Open, Rio Open, and the Delray Beach Open on the ATP Tour, as well as the Dubai Open for the WTA Tour. And then we're going to wrap things up with a Champions League preview for this Tuesday and this Wednesday. I'm so excited to get this show started. So let's get right into it. But real quick, before I hop into everything that I just described, I want to take a quick moment to discuss the United States Olympic hockey team. Yesterday, we witnessed history here in America. The United States have not won gold at the Olympics since 1980, nearly 50 years. And yesterday, Team USA took down Team Canada 2-1, game-winning goal in overtime by Jack Hughes, but MVP of that match has to be goalie Connor Hellebuck for the United States. Absolutely unreal game. One of the coolest sporting events I've seen in my entire life. So shout out to Team USA Hockey. And now, let's just get right into the action. All right, yes, USA, USA, USA. Premier League Game Week 27. This had many implications on title race, European races, as well as just other games throughout the league. Relegation zone, who's going to stay up, who's going to go down. So many implications from this weekend. All right, let me just bring that up. Let's start with Aston Villa and Leeds. This game was a 1-1 draw. Goals were scored by Anton Stach. And then Tammy Abraham goes and rescues a point for Villa in the 88th minute. This looked bleak for Villa fans. You're playing at home against a team that is just above the relegation zone, and you are losing 1-0 the entire game until a corner kick that you earn in the 87th minute. Great ball in. Tammy Abraham gets his head on it, and you rescue a point. Leeds nearly walked away with all 3 points, but 1 point is good enough for them as they now go 6 points above the relegation zone. Definitely huge for them. But the team that's going to be very disappointed is Aston Villa because they massively needed 3 points, and they were lucky enough to get a point. They are just a few points now ahead of Manchester United in the race for the Champions League places. And it's just a bad result for them. Bad result for Villa. But we continue on. We now have Brighton versus Brentford. Now, I thought this game was going to go completely different. I thought that Brentford were going to have a larger grasp of the game, better control, just because they're playing at home. And Brentford are such a well-drilled team this year. But that was not the case whatsoever. Brighton won 2-0. Goals scored by Diego Gomez and Danny Welbeck, both in the first half. They take all 3 points and go 9 points above that relegation zone, which is huge for them because they have not had the season that they've wanted. Usually they're a top half of the table kind of team, but this year it just hasn't been it for them. Brentford, on the other hand, a team that I personally thought at the beginning of the season were going to struggle massively after losing the likes of their head coach, Thomas Frank, their star right winger, Brian Mbeumo, and their striker, Yohan Wissa. I'm sure they lost other players as well. Those are just the 3 that come to mind. And when a team loses players of that quality, you really expect them to struggle. But when you have the likes of people stepping up, like Kevin Schad and their striker, Igor Thiago, I believe his name is, that is a winning culture instilled from higher management. That comes from the top. That is good ownership. That's a good director of football that you're able to kind of tinker. And when someone leaves, then you replace it with someone just as good. Really impressive stuff from Brentford. They're still 2 points ahead of Bournemouth in seventh place as they look to secure European football for the first time in club history, which would be so impressive for them. They could be in the Conference League next year and be traveling all around Europe, which I think is so fun that they added the Conference League because it just gives teams an opportunity to play these European nights that usually were reserved for the likes of your big teams, Arsenal, Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, etc. But now some of the lesser teams, in terms of their size, get to participate in Europe, and it's just really cool to see. But enough of that. We now move on to Chelsea versus Burnley. Now, when I saw this game, I thought, Burnley are going to be in a bit of trouble here because Chelsea are flowing right now, and unfortunately for Burnley, they just leak in goals. I think they have the second most goals conceded in the league this year. And it got started early. João Pedro scored in the 4th minute, and you think to yourself, ooh, this could get very ugly very quick. It was an incredible bit of play. That is exactly the way that Liam Rosignol wants to play. That if you want to understand his tactics, go watch that first Chelsea goal. It's just a couple of quick passes, and they're through. You have the defense played into Caicedo. Caicedo then plays a wonderful through ball to Pedro Neto. And then next thing you know, Neto's running down the line. One touch, swings it into João Pedro. Little bit of a scuffed finish, but the ball goes into the back of the net nonetheless. Chelsea up 1-0. Then they just kind of coast, and you can't do that against relegation teams because these teams are fighting for their life right now to stay up. And the longer that you let it stay at 1-0, it gives them belief. It gives them hope that maybe they can get something from the game. And that was exactly what happened. This game ended up being a 1-1 draw as Zion Fleming scored for Burnley in the 90th minute +3 stoppage time. It was off a corner, and that is just a back-breaking 2 points to drop. They almost scored a second corner, actually, believe it or not. Burnley almost took all 3 points in this game, which would have been magnificent for them as they try to stay above the drop, but it is not looking great for them. I believe they have 19 points right now. And West Ham, let's see. Yeah, Burnley have 19 points. West Ham have 25 points, 27 points. Burnley need to make up 8 points. That's going to be very tough between now and the end of the season. I don't see how they make it up. Well, we're getting to City. That City game, I have a lot of good things to say about City. City fans are going to like what I have to say about that game. Arsenal fans, maybe not so much. But quickly back to the Chelsea-Burnley game. When you let teams linger, they bite back. Palmer, João Pedro, and Neto all had wonderful chances to put that game away. And none of them finished it off. And that's what's going to come back and nip you in the end, because now they're level on points with United and Liverpool for Champions League places, and you can't be dropping those points. Now, West Ham versus Bournemouth. We had a 0-0 draw for this one, and honestly, this game just could have been wrapped up in an email. Quick email from the Premier League. Yep, 0-0 draw. Don't even need to play it. Let's move on. Neither team really went for it. It's just a bad game. You expect a bit more from Bournemouth. Yes, they're away. The West Ham pitch just looks so small and compact when they play. I think it's because of the outer track or whatever it is. It just makes the pitch look so small. I don't know what it is. But this game was the least bit entertaining, and I have nothing more to say about it. And now, our first big game of the weekend, Manchester City versus Newcastle. And this game showed the epitome of a title-winning team because City didn't play great. They played rather poor, to be honest. The finishing was not up to their standards. But this is the difference between a title-winning team like City that's done it before and a team like Arsenal, for example. Because even on your bad days, the days that you shouldn't win, the days that you should drop points, you find a way to win. You squeak through with those 3 points, whether you're holding out defensively, which Arsenal tried to do, but City still go on the attack. They still try to get those chances. Lucky enough for them, the 2 goals from Nico Riley were enough, even though Lewis Hall had a goal himself off of a wicked deflection. But they got the result, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. City themselves actually had plenty of chances, but they just couldn't finish off the game. Nico O'Reilly should have had a hat trick in the first half. Also, it was so weird seeing Haaland play a little dink cross. The creator now, not the goal scorer. So funny. So funny to see him just put just a scrumptious ball floated up to the back post for Nico O'Reilly to get his head on and put Manchester City back into the lead, because that was just after Lewis Hall had leveled it. The second half was a bit dead, and City just sucked the soul out of their opponents with this manipulative style of passing where they almost put the other team in a trance. You just feel like you can never win the ball, and it seems like you're just playing in a training session, keep away, versus Manchester City. And a team that's drilled by Pep is never going to give the ball away. So, hats off to City. They get the win, and they go just 2 points back if they win their game in hand from title contenders and title favorites Arsenal. Now, we move on to the Palace versus Wolves game. Palace goal was scored by Evan Gassand. I'm probably butchering that name. It was in the 90th minute. A lot of late goals this weekend. A lot of late goals to salvage points, to earn 3 points. Some incredible stuff. That's what it's all about. That's why we love the Premier League. The result that you expect to happen is never going to be the result that actually happens. Palace, with this win, go 10 points above the drop zone, seem to be safer this season, and now they can focus on what's really important for them, the Conference League. Now, it's bullshit that they're not in the Europa League because of all of the ownership stuff at the top. It's all a bunch of fugazi. But now they can compete and try to go as far as they possibly can in the Conference League. I believe they have a game this upcoming week, Thursday maybe. They are playing... Who are they playing? They are playing Zrinjski Mostar. Again, probably butchered that name, but they traveled there. They tied 1-1 the first game. Now it's back at Palace. You got Zrinjski Mostar traveling to London. I really love Crystal Palace to win that game and go through. It's gonna be an exciting one for sure. So their focus is now surely on the Conference League as they try to get in the Europa League for next year. And yeah, the other side of that coin, Wolves. Wolves, unfortunately, are just so bad. They're one of the worst Premier League sides I've ever seen in all of my years watching the game. You got to feel for them. All they're doing at this point is playing for a bit of pride. That point that they got off Arsenal was probably the last really bright moment they'll have this season. Yeah, they might pick up another win, but that felt like the last big moment where you look back at the end of the season, maybe City wins the title and Wolves fans can say, we stopped Arsenal from winning the title. They stopped this disgusting style of football from winning the title. But who knows? Now we have Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest. And I knew that Nottingham Forest were going to cause Liverpool some trouble just because the way they set up defensively. They are such a well-drilled team when it comes to playing defensive football. And they had the game as a 0-0 draw up until the 90th minute plus 7 minutes of stoppage time. Alexis McAllister just rips out the hearts of Forest fans. And Liverpool go level with Chelsea and United on 45 points. Now, United have the game in hand, of course, but if United lose to Everton today, Chelsea, Liverpool, United all level on 45 points with, 11 games to play. It's going to be a very tough battle for Champions League places. It's going to be an exciting one. And despite all that talk about Liverpool and sacking Slot, they're actually starting to find a bit of form now. So we'll see what Liverpool can do. They're obviously still in the Champions League. The second round of knockouts hasn't started yet. But when they're playing in that, I think that we might see that form dip down again just because they'll be playing multiple games a week. Another game on Sunday, Sunderland versus Fulham. Fulham wins it 3-1. Goals scored by Raul Jimenez, who got a brace, Enzo Lefebvre for Sunderland, and Alex Iwobi wrapping things up, securing Fulham all 3 points. Fulham are back in business with this win. Sunderland see themselves falling down the table. A start to the season that was so promising, and you thought, could they do it? Could they go from a team that was in the championship and promoted to European places? Something that we haven't seen since Leicester back in the 15-16 season. But they are unfortunately just falling down the table. They are now sat in 12th on 36 points, 4 points away from Europe, which is still possible, but is seeming increasingly unlikely. Nonetheless, so if Sunderland stay up, it's still a successful season for them. Now, the game we've all been waiting for, and we were all looking forward to, the North London Derby. Arsenal versus Tottenham. Arsenal were going through a rough patch. Tottenham, nothing more to say on Tottenham. They are who they are. They're such a disjointed team right now. They're just a few points above the relegation zone, and things are looking bleak for them. Arsenal wins it 4-1. Goals scored by Eberechi Eze and Victor Gyökeres. Both got a brace. And Kolo Muani's goal, Tottenham's lone goal, just 2 minutes after Arsenal scored their opener. You think maybe that this is going to be a good game. Unfortunately, it was not for Tottenham fans. They just look so disjointed. And for good reason, because they don't have a coach. They have an interim. And the direction for Tottenham right now is just very confusing. You don't know what the future has in store. You know some of these big-name players are going to be leaving in the summer as they look to go to clubs playing Champions League football. And, I mean, if they get relegated, we are going to see monstrous change at Tottenham Football Club. Monstrous. I mean, the players that they're going to lose, just off the top of my head, you've got Udogie is probably going to go. Van de Ven's definitely going to go. Pedro Porro, Jed Spence, they might go. Bergvall, Solanke, Kulusevski, James Madison, all these players look like they might be heading out the door. And that would really set Tottenham back a lot. And imagine that stadium. Imagine that stadium, the greatest stadium in the Premier League right now, that's hosting NFL games, that's hosting concerts. It's going to be playing championship football. That would just be the most ironic thing, and football loves irony, so we'll see. They are only just 4 points of West Ham above the relegation zone. So this is truly, well and truly, a relegation battle for Tottenham. It is. And, Tottenham fans don't want to admit that to themselves. But unfortunately for them, it is the harsh truth. And I think Tottenham fans need harsh truths right now, and they need to band together to try to get behind this team and just stay in the league. Arsenal are back on track, though. They started scoring more goals from open play, which is exactly what they needed. None of this corner bullshit. Scoring goals from open play is how you win the league. So, good for Arsenal. Back on track. It's going to be a juicy final couple of months here with Arsenal. I think they're 5 points ahead now, but City have that game in hand. Yeah, 5 points ahead, but City have that game in hand. And Arsenal have to travel to the Etihad, I believe, in either late March or early April. And that is going to be a spectacular match. Very excited for that. Great weekend of Premier League action. Really looking forward to next weekend. I'm going to quickly check if there are midweek matches. I think maybe City potentially could be the only midweek match, but I just want to confirm. No midweek matches this week. I think maybe next week or the week after is when City have their midweek match, just like Arsenal just had because they are both playing in the Carabao Cup final. Now, to preview this Manchester United versus Everton match, United are traveling to Merseyside, to Everton's new stadium. And United really need all 3 points here. Like I said, they're level on points with Chelsea and Liverpool for these Champions League places. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough rest of the season. United are only playing one game a week, and I honestly hate that. I think that is going to hurt us more than it's going to help. We haven't played in a couple of weeks. All of our players just went on vacations, on holiday. Players were going to Dubai. Players were visiting their old clubs. And sure, that's good for mental health and everything like that, but we haven't played a game in so long. And of course, we're playing on the Monday as well. I'm very much looking forward to today's match. I will say two things need to happen for Michael Carrick. One, he needs to change the team. Benjamin Sesko has to start. He's been in incredible form. That means you're dropping one of either Cunha, Mbeumo, or Ahmad. I personally would drop Cunha just because he's not a natural winger like the other two, and he has been incredible off the bench those first couple of games. And I would put Mazraoui at either left back or right back because Dalot and Luke Shaw have both been playing absolutely horrendous. If just one of those two changes happens, it's got to be Sesko starting. United need all 3 points. Everton are great in the air. We are going to need to whip the ball, and David Moyes likes to sit back with his teams. And I want to see crosses into Sesko and maybe get a goal early. I personally think United can take this one 2-1, but we'll see what happens today at 3 o'clock. That wraps up everything I have on the Premier League. Now we're shifting gears to tennis, and let me tell you what a weekend we had in tennis. The Qatar Open, the Rio Open, and the Delray Beach Open, all on the ATP Tour. Some incredible tennis was seen. Such a high level, obviously, from the likes of Alcaraz, but also from Rublev, Seb Korda, Tommy Paul, and even Thomas Martin Etcheverry. But first, we'll start with the Qatar Open. Carlos Alcaraz wins yet another title. I believe this is his 26th title, second among active players, only to, obviously, Novak Djokovic, who has 101 titles, an unbelievable amount of wins for him. But he is simply unplayable at the moment. What I saw from Carlos Alcaraz is a man on a mission. A mission to be the best possible version of himself on a tennis court at all times. He knows that he can beat these opponents, yet he still goes for every single ball like it's match point. His dedication to getting to every ball is only comparable to Nadal. That sort of Spanish style in where you never let a point go. And it's what is winning him everything at the moment. He has 2,500 points through the first 2 months of this tennis season. And of all the shots in the match, there were so many incredible shots. Just go watch the replay. It's a highlight basically every point. Anyone that gets to see Carlos live, it's such a visual treat to your eyes. But the one that comes to mind is actually match point. Arthur Fils has an incredible forehand. Alcaraz still gets to it, lays it up, and Fils has such an easy opportunity to just smash it. Carlos stays on one side of the court, and then he sprints over to the other side. Fils smashes it, and Carlos, while sprinting on the run, lays down one of the better forehand shots that I've seen, and then just nonchalantly walks up to Arthur Fils and shakes his hand. He is playing with an insane amount of aura, talent, just an incredible player. There's not enough good things that you can say about Carlos Alcaraz, and now him and his team are going to take a well-deserved rest as they prepare for Indian Wells starting in just about, a week and a half, and he loves Indian Wells. He won in 23 and 24, obviously didn't win last year. Jack Draper took that title, but he is definitely looking to get back to the top in Southern California. As for Arthur Fils, this was a massively impressive result for him. I think he should hang his head high. Look, you're playing Carlos Alcaraz, the best player in the world by a large margin. You can't beat yourself up too much. Mind you, he was also out for 8 months last year with a back injury. So to come back from that, to make it to the finals of an ATP event, and to still play Carlos Alcaraz is a feat within itself. I hope that he can stay healthy, because if so, he is traveling in the right direction, and there's an incredible player in there. There really is. We just need him to stay fit. I also want to give a massive, massive shout out to Andrei Rublev, because the level of tennis that him and Carlos were playing on Friday was really a spectacle to be seen. Now, yes, Carlos won in straight sets, 7-6, 6-4, I believe, but that's not the point. The point is that Andrei Rublev had Carlos Alcaraz playing at such an elite level that if he was playing anyone not named Carlos Alcaraz, he would have won that match handily. Unfortunately for him, he was playing Carlos Alcaraz. The shot-making ability was fantastic. He was breaking Carlos constantly. He just unfortunately wasn't able to hold his serve as well as he would have liked. But you could see Carlos was visibly rattled. And how many players are able to do that to Carlos? So shout out to Rublev. A great tournament from him, making it to the semifinals, a tournament that he won last year and would have liked to win again. But you got to give him massive credit. He played incredible. And I personally love watching Rublev play tennis. I think he's such an exciting player. So I'm happy for him that he made it to the semifinals. Now we'll shift gears to the Rio Open. And I got to be honest, I did not watch much of the Rio Open. I just was focused on other tournaments, the Qatar Open and the Delray Beach Open. But a quick shout out to Thomas Martin Echevre as he wins his first ever ATP title. I can't imagine that feeling. The look on his face was that of a young kid, and that's what it's all about. That's why we love sport. That's why they play sports, these athletes, these incredible athletes. To get that feeling of glory, the feeling that you chase as a child to an adult now, it's just really awesome. Super happy for him. And yeah, the Rio Open, I personally think it should be bumped up to a Masters 1000 because it is an awesome venue. Now, we'll switch gears again to the Delray Beach Open. where we saw Tommy Paul take down Taylor Fritz in the quarterfinals and Seb Korda take down Flavio Caboli to set up a final between Tommy Paul and Seb Korda. This was already shaping up to be a great match before the final was even started. Seb Korda has been playing at such an elite level this season so far. The Australian Open didn't go as he wanted. I believe he lost in the first round, so tough tournament for him. But after that, instead of getting down, he bounced back. He made it to the quarterfinals of the Dallas Open, losing out to Ben Shelton, who had inevitably then won that tournament. And then at Delray Beach, gets his first title of the year. And what a player he is. He was playing impeccable yesterday. Some of his forehand winners, his inside-out forehand, was looking incredible. And Tommy Paul was not playing bad. His level was very high. And Seb Korda's road to winning that title was very impressive. He took out the likes of Casper Ruud, Flavio Caboli, and Tommy Paul, all top-ranked tennis players. And that is going to be a load of confidence for him going forward. I'm expecting big things from Seb Korda this year. Maybe we'll see a Grand Slam quarterfinal appearance, which would be massive for him and his development. But we now move to the Dubai Open and the WTA Tour. Before I get into the final, I want to quickly cover the semifinals because both of these matches were amazing. Like these were incredible matches. You have Amanda Anisimova playing Jess Pegula. And after that first set that Anisimova won 6-1, you think to yourself, all right, this is going to be the moment. This is going to be the match that Anisimova finally takes down Jess Pegula, gets the monkey off her back, moves on. She takes down the opponent that has caused her so much trouble. But no, Jess Pegula switched up her tactics in that second set, stopped serving to Amanda's body, finally started working the ball out wide a bit, which I didn't know why she wasn't doing that in the first set, but maybe it was for tactical reasons because she drilled it at Amanda Anisimova's body the entire first set. And it was just bouncing up into Amanda's wheelhouse. But in that second set, when she started serving it wide, Amanda had no answer for it. She was caught guessing a lot of the times. And then the body serve started coming out and it started working. And it seemed like it was becoming increasingly more mental for Anisimova. The feeling of, I can't beat her. I just can't do it. I can't get over the line against Pegula. Nonetheless, a great tournament from her. Going to the semifinals of Masters 1000 is always a great feat in itself. Happy for Amanda, but looking forward to the rest of her season. She's got so much potential. She's so fun to watch. Her backhand is incredible. So definitely looking forward to watching more Amanda Anisimova. And after that, we had Coco Gauff versus Alina Svitolina, and that match was wild. The second set was a marathon. That's the only way to describe it. It was simply a marathon. Both players playing at such an elite level of tennis. It goes to the tiebreak. Alina is looking to wrap this match up in 2 sets, and Coco just shows incredible adversity and perseverance. The tiebreak ended 15-13, and Coco controlled that tiebreak. She was painting the court, playing great net play, which, real quick, I think that Coco Gauff needs to add the serve and volley a lot more to her game. When she does it, it's incredible. She looks incredible out there. Her movement is already amazing, and when she goes up to the net, she catches her opponent off guard every single time. Please, Coco, involve the serve and volley a bit more. Anyway, she did that during the tiebreak, and she was winning points. And then it was those points that were the easy points that she just hit wide or hit long, and it was creating this gut-wrenching tiebreak. And if she would have lost that second set, it would have just been so backbreaking for her. Unfortunately for her, she did lose the match in the third set, but man, that second set was something to behold. And then in the final, Jess Pegula took down Svitolina to win her 10th singles title. Jess is playing at such a great level of tennis, such an elite level of tennis right now. The way she works the ball from side to side using the whole court is such an impressive feat from her. And yeah, super happy for Jess Pegula. She is playing amazing tennis at the moment. Hopefully she can continue this onto the clay. That's all I have for tennis, though, as we wrap that up. Now let's get into some previews for the Champions League and some previews for tennis as well. This week, we have the second round of the first bit of Champions League knockouts, and there are massive implications on the line for these games, let me tell you. We have Atletico Madrid versus Club Brugge. It's 3-3 on aggregate. Atletico let that last goal slip in stoppage time, and you just think to yourself, oh man, if they had gone up 3-2, then this would have been such an easy result for them to see out at the Wanda Metropolitano in Madrid. But now things get a little bit squeakier. I still love Atletico to win. They are so good at the Wanda Metropolitano in the Champions League. I like them to win 2-1, continue the success, and go on to that next stage of the knockouts. Leverkusen versus Olympiacos. This game went the exact opposite that I thought it would for the first round of the Champions League knockout. Leverkusen won 2-0 in Greece, and they are now going back home with the 2-0 lead. I don't see them slipping up. Patrick Schick got 2 goals in that first match. I think he bags a couple of more. However, I do think that Olympiacos are going to have to throw the kitchen sink at this game, and that's why I'm predicting a 2-2 draw. It's going to be goals. It's going to be goals for sure, because Olympiacos are going to have to go for it, and they're going to be left open at the back. And especially playing away from home, that's going to be tough. Now, Inter versus Bodo Glimt. Bodo Glimt with a somewhat surprising result. I personally had a lot of confidence in them just because they're so good at home. They're so good in that home environment. It is so impressive. They're not even playing in season right now, and yet they're beating massive teams. Inter, Man City, Atletico Madrid. It's beautiful to watch. And now they travel to Inter, to Milan, and they are going in to the heart of the snake. And this game's going to be interesting. I mean, I think Inter's going to win it. I think they're going to win it 3-1. And we're going to see some pens. I really think that we're going to see penalties. I think Bodo Glimt are going to get one themselves. But ultimately, I think it's Bodo Glimt that stun Inter in this first round of the knockouts and move on. Give me Bodo Glimt in the Norwegian side to win in Italy, in Milan. Next, we have Newcastle versus Karabag FK, and this, unfortunately, is a consolation match at this point for Karabag. They lost that first game 6-1 at home, and unless there is a miracle on that pitch, they are going home. Newcastle are definitely going to play their reserves. They're going to put their second team out there. They want to save their guys for the Premier League for good reason. So there's no reason to play their first team. And it is just going to be tough for them, even with Newcastle's second team, because they're playing... Oh, there's an alarm. Where they're playing at St. James Park, and it's going to get ugly. I feel bad for them. I think Newcastle are still going to win 2-1. Making this an 8-2 aggregate score. I had 8-2 be Karabag FC after this one. Then we have action on Wednesday. Atalanta versus Dortmund. Dortmund have a 2-0 lead on aggregate, and I think Dortmund are rocking up to Atalanta with that 2-goal lead. They will look to defend, but I think they are going to be formidable. I just don't think Atalanta have the talent that matches a Dortmund, and I think it's going to be too tall of a task. Give me Dortmund to win 2-1 at Atalanta. Then we have a very interesting game, a game that did not fully go the way I expected in the first knockout. I mean, I thought Galatasaray might win, but damn, 5-2. Juve have such a tall task ahead of them. Also, quickly, on Juventus, the kit they wore this weekend, if you have not seen it, go look it up. That is one of the most beautiful kits I've ever laid eyes on in the sport of football. It's so simple, yet so effective. It's historical. It's pure class. That kit should be their home kit every year. It's class. It's just pure class. But I think Juve have a very large comeback on their hands. They're going to need 4 goals to win it on aggregate. 3 goals just to take it to pens, and I just don't see it. I think it's too tall of a task. I think Galatasaray get a goal. Galatasaray get a goal themselves. I think it's a 3-1 game, maybe 4-1. I think 3-1, and I think Galatasaray move on. I think that the 5 goals is just way too much to overcome. It's going to be tough for Juventus. They have a tall order this Wednesday. Then we have PSG versus Monaco. PSG are looking to bring this one home at home, and I think the Parisians are going to dominate this Monaco side. Winning 3-2 at Monaco has just filled them with so much confidence. They are the defending champions, and I think this is going to be a slaughter of Monaco. Give me PSG to win 4-1 at home, absolutely, without a doubt, moving on to the next round. And the final match of the Champions League is Real Madrid versus Benfica. Benfica performed that magic against Real Madrid to get themselves into the knockout, but I think this is where their Cinderella story ends. Going to the Bernabeu is just way too difficult. Madrid are so good at home. The Bernabeu is such an intimidating place to go, and I really do think that Madrid win this one handily. Give me Madrid to win 3-1. Now, we also have some very intriguing tennis coming up this weekend. Let me quickly pull it up. We have the Dubai Open and the Acapulco Open, and some of these matchups in the round of 32 are absolutely tasty. In Dubai, we have Mahak versus Shapovalov, and that in itself is going to be an incredible match. I cannot wait for it. It is going to be entertaining, high-level tennis, smashing winners, unforced errors. I can't wait. Then we have Arthur Fils coming off of a final appearance in Qatar, going up against Lehechka. Another big task for him, but one that I think he can win. So Arthur Fils looking to follow up on his success in Qatar, in Dubai. I think he's going to go on another run. I do. I think that he's full of confidence, even though he got crushed by Alcaraz, and I do think that he's going to go on a bit of a run here in Dubai. And then in Acapulco, we've got Atman versus Dimitrov, and Dimitrov plays the game in such an elegant way. It's quite beautiful to watch what he can do with the tennis racket, but Terence Atman is no easy task. I like Grigor Dimitrov, though, and I think he's ultimately going to win this one. And then a battle of the youngsters, Mannarino versus Spitzeri. Elliot Spitzeri out of Connecticut took Jannik Sinner to the brink in Australia. It was only until the dome roof had to close when Spitzeri then lost a bit of focus. Jannik Sinner gained a bit of confidence, and ultimately he lost that match, a match that he was absolutely in control of. So very much looking forward to watching him play. And Mannarino, someone that has performed well this season. Really looking forward to that match in Acapulco, Mexico. CT represent, damn right. We've got some great tennis coming up. And I want to thank everyone for watching as I wrap up the show. Covered a lot from the Premier League to the Qatar Open, the Rio Open, the Delray Beach Open, the WTA Tour, the Dubai Open, previewed some Champions League, previewed some upcoming tennis. Let me quickly see what the WTA's got on store this weekend. It's got to be something a little bit more lax after back-to-back Masters 1000s. Let's have a quick look what they have coming up. Let's see. They have the Austin Open and the Merida Open. Two lesser tournaments, the WTA 500 and WTA 250, as they get prepared for the Indian Wells Open as well. But I would like to thank you for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe. I have a couple of videos coming out this week, so definitely stay tuned for those. I appreciate everyone that watches. Leave a comment down below of what you think about the Champions League coming up and who you think is going to take these tennis tournaments. Thank you for watching, and have a great Monday.